Good morning, beautiful people. It's Beks Thompson here, and if you don't know much about me, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm here setting up my class this morning, and I also help women to do what they love and make the impact that they want without compromising their health and well-being, without letting their fears and doubts hold them back. And we do a lot of emotional processing work and presence work and profound energy work, but we also use yoga as a very profound therapeutic tool, and it is amazing for that if you practice it in a very mindful way. Otherwise, it can just keep creating and grooving more of the same patterns that you already have in your body and that you are trying to get rid of. And so yoga is an amazing tool for regrooving new patterns, but we need to do it mindfully in a way that holds wisdom and deep presence so that, like I say, you don't keep grooving the same old patterns of stress and dis-ease and dysfunction in your body, and you create new ones. So today, on the new moon of Leo, which I don't know if you're feeling it, but it feels like a massive opening into joy and motivation and courage, I wanted to visit backbends, because backbends are a beautiful tool in yoga to cultivate joy, to cultivate a courage, to cultivate emotion. But if we do them incorrectly or just without knowing, without very good body awareness, then you can still continue to push the buttons of stress and push the buttons of should and doing and achieving and miss the sweetness of that joy and that inspired motivation. And we don't want that. We want to use it to our highest. So, and to just adjust this, the camera position has changed when I went onto Facebook compared to just on my phone. And the backbend we're going to do today, see if we get that in a nice frame, is Cobra, because it's something that you've probably practiced a lot if you do yoga, and there are some really key elements. So here's Cobra. I'm going to do it in a controlled manner. Here would be my Cobra. This is where we press up into beautiful backbend. It creates an opening in the solar plexus, it creates an opening in the heart, we're grounded through the pelvis and the legs. So it creates safety, joy, ease, motivation, it's activating lots of beautiful energy centers, and it also opens the throat. But what happens when you do it incorrectly or in a way that's going to create more stress in your body? This is what I see quite a lot, is people pushing up onto the straight arms. Now, can you see the difference between that and this variation? Okay, now in this one, I don't want to do it too much because it's going to strain my back. We're hinging into the lower back. I'm just going right to the end of my possible range, but I'm not really getting a nice graded extension through my spine. I'm just creating a hinge at my lumbosacral junction, which is going to create more stress. Now the lower back, when we force it, we're telling it that it has to do something, it has to take load, but we're not really supporting it. So we feel emotionally, energetically unsupported. We're creating more stress in our body, and we're not creating any stability in this area, which is the foundation of our physical support and the foundation of our emotional support. So you can end up not feeling at all that courage and motivation and just feeling more tired, more stressed, and more shoulds. So how do you avoid that? Well, there's a couple of key things. The first one is to have your hands right down here underneath your shoulders. And the first part of the lift is an active lift. I can take my hands off, I'm not doing anything. It's the active lift. Now I want to feel between my shoulder blades and that middle back that something is happening there. I'm not just pushing up and going straight into my lower back. I'm actively peeling the shoulder blades off, and then bring my hands in and start to again feel as if I'm peeling off from the head, neck and shoulders. Peeling off. Not leading with the head's just following, but it's the upper back that's peeling off. And I'm working hard in the arms here. I'm not just going to end range. I'm keeping the elbows tucked in, they're soft, and I'm focusing on drawing forwards and opening through the heart and through that upper solar plexus area, where your diaphragm is getting a nice stretch and all the connections into your ribs and intercostal muscles. Relax the shoulders And so it should be quite hard work on the arms. All right, if we cheat, we come into this. Breathing. Now the other thing that people tend to sometimes do is really squeeze the buttocks. Now if you squeeze the buttocks, you lock down on your pelvis. Okay, I'll try and come forward a little bit here. Now you've got that up a little bit. When you squeeze your buttocks, you are pulling your pelvis together, but to get a back bend, a beautiful elongated back bend through your spine, it involves some movement in the pelvis. You've got your sacrum here, and you've got your hip bones, your ilium, and that needs to gently nudge, needs to gently tilt, and you're gonna get a little bit of movement. So you need to try and keep your buttocks relaxed, but still with a bit of anchoring of the tops of your feet to the floor, and that creates a foundation. Anchoring of your feet to the floor will keep your pubic bone connected, keep you grounded, but we want to allow, let me show this tilting, this nutation of the pelvis as you come into the back bend, or counter nutation as you come into your back bend. Again, if you squeeze your buttocks and you lock your pelvis down, then you are forcing, if this is your pelvis, you're forcing your back to only arch again at that point. And we want to get this beautiful arch with the pelvis coming in. That makes sense? And then if you do that, then you are really focusing, you are isolating where we want the energy to flow. You are isolating where we want to cultivate the practice. And then as always with our practices, we want to come into a counter pose. Now a counter pose for Cobra can literally be laying on your tummy, and we do this quite a lot in my practice. I'm just going to prop my head so you can see my face. And when you're counter posing, just laying on your belly, you want to bring your awareness into your belly and the connection of your belly and your heart to the earth. And you might be able to see as I take a deep breath. Just exhale, let me take another deep breath. That my low back expands away from the floor with that deep breath, because obviously my belly is being constricted by the ground. So it gives you a feeling, you're really feeling supported, and it opens up the lower back. Why is this important? Well, because we've just done a back bend, and when we do a back bend, we are squashing some areas, we're constricting some areas, we're extending into those areas, including the adrenal glands. And then when we soften, when we open, we're allowing fresh blood, we're allowing fresh prana and an opening into those same areas. And this is what keeps our body more balanced and healthy. And again, same with our emotion. So we want to always be feeding and nourishing and nurturing our adrenal glands, especially in this day and age, because they take a lot of the stress when our cortisone levels and adrenaline get raised. And so it's important when you do a back bend that you come into a forward bend. So even laying on your belly is an aspect of a forward bend, right? Because we're still opening. But another forward bend we can do, which you probably know well, is child pose. And again, it's the opposite pose, it's the opposite of Cobra. And so again, we can open into the lower back. So the benefits of a yoga pose are also the benefits of the counter pose, if you like. You know, like a pose is more potent when you counter pose it, because you are getting the balance. So I hope that has given you a little bit of insight into Cobra and how to practice it safely. If you have any questions, feel free to PM me. I'll put a message here below of how you felt with that practice. The last thing I just wanted to mention actually with the Cobra is, particularly for women, don't try and force your legs together. Let your legs go out a little bit. We've got wide hips as women. We need to allow a little bit more breadth often with the legs to allow for that natural, physiology that's happening in the body. If we force the legs in, the same thing can happen with the bum squeeze that I just mentioned. We can lock up the pelvis. And so that can really create more of a challenge and more of a strain in the low back. So if you add those bits up together, you will be performing your Cobras in a really mindful and loving and expressive way, and that is going to create more courage, more motivation, more joy in your life.
And if you'd love to know more about how I work, or you're curious about how I integrate yoga into my personal and spiritual development programs, into my Bear Beacon program, and you're a woman who's on a sacred path, you are on a personal and spiritual development and awakening path, and you are wanting to look at how to dissolve your fears and your doubts holding you back, you are longing to belong to an amazing tribe of women who are all wanting to step up into their courageous and powerful feminine selves, then reach out to me, because we have an intake every 3 months. Our next intake is in October. We have a 3-day immersion that leads into a year-long profound program, and the women in that right now are just reaping massive transformational changes in their business world, in their personal life, in their relationships, in their health. So if that's something you're looking to up-level and change, then reach out to me and I can have a chat with you and let you know a little bit more about it. All right, my lovelies, have an amazing day wherever you are. I'm going to continue setting up for class now. Take care, everyone.